Hello there. Go ahead and find that perfect spot. The one where you can let go of the day. Just let your body feel heavy and supported. And take a slow, deep breath. Tonight, I want to ask you to think about something with me. Something that, at first, might sound a little bit strange to think about right before falling asleep. I want us to think about the end. Now, I know. That sounds like a very heavy, very serious thing. It sounds like the opposite of a relaxing thought. We spend most of our lives trying very hard not to think about it. It's the one topic we push away. But what if I told you that for one of the wisest, calmest, and most powerful men who ever lived, thinking about this one big thing was his secret to peace? What if this dark thought was actually the key he used to unlock a calm mind and a happy life? His name was Marcus Aurelius, and he wasn't just a philosopher. He was an emperor of Rome. Think about that for a second. This was a man who was, for a time, maybe the most powerful person on the planet. He had armies to command, politicians to deal with, a whole empire to run. Imagine the stress. Imagine the endless list of worries he must have had every single day. And yet, this incredibly busy, incredibly stressed out man somehow found a way to stay calm and kind and focused. And we know how he did it. Because at night, probably by candlelight after a long day, he would write in a little private diary. It wasn't for anyone else to see. It was just a collection of notes he wrote to himself to try and be a better, calmer person. And one of the things he wrote to himself, over and over again, in different ways, was a simple reminder. He would tell himself, "Memento mori," remember that you will die. He didn't do this to be sad or to be scared. He did it to be free. It was like a magic trick he used on his own brain. A trick to make all the small, silly, everyday worries just disappear. So tonight, we're going to borrow the emperor's secret. We're not going to be sad or serious. We are going to gently take this big, dark-sounding idea and see if we can turn it into a soft, quiet pillow to help you rest your head. So get cozy. You don't have to do anything at all. Just breathe. And let's think, very quietly, about the emperor's secret to a good night's sleep. So, let's just stay with that image for a little while. The image of the emperor alone at night. The day is finally over. The meetings are done. The endless stream of people wanting something from him has finally stopped. The noise of the palace, or maybe even the noise of a military camp somewhere far from home, has finally faded into a low hum. And he is sitting there, in the quiet, with just a simple lamp casting a warm, flickering light on the table in front of him. And he has his diary, his little book of secrets and reminders. What do you think he was writing? Was he writing about his big plans to win a war? Or about some annoying politician who had bothered him that day? No, more often than not, he was writing a very simple, very private little note to himself. A reminder. He would write things like, "You could leave life right now," or "Soon you will be ashes or a skeleton." I know. That still sounds so gloomy, so sad. It sounds like the kind of thing a very depressed person would write. But we have to remember, this was not a man who was sad. By all accounts, he was one of the most balanced and respected and, well, good people of his time. So he wasn't writing this to make himself feel bad. He was writing it to make himself feel better. It was his medicine. It was his tool. It was his own personal magic trick for the mind. This practice has a famous Latin name, memento mori. It's a very simple phrase. It just means, remember you will die. Let's just let those words float there for a moment. Not as a threat, not as a scary thought, but just as a simple fact. Like saying, remember the sky is blue, or remember that water is wet. It's just a statement, a fact of life. And Marcus Aurelius believed that if you could just look at that simple fact, calmly, without panicking, it had the power to make all of your other problems seem incredibly small. Think about it like this. Imagine you are having a really stressful day. Maybe someone was rude to you in traffic. Maybe you're worried about paying a bill. Maybe you had a silly argument with a friend. During the day, these problems can feel huge. They can feel like a giant mountain right in front of your face, blocking all the sunlight. You can't see anything else. All you can see is the big, scary mountain of your problem, and it feels like it will last forever. But the practice of memento mori is like having a secret helicopter. In your mind, you can just step into this helicopter and it lifts you up, high into the air, way, way up. And from up there, you can look down, and you can see the whole landscape of your life. And from way up here, that giant mountain of a problem, it doesn't look so big anymore, does it? It's just one little peak among many. And you realize that in the grand scheme of things, this one little problem is not the end of the world. It's just a small part of a very big, very beautiful journey. This is what the emperor was doing at night. He was using his helicopter. He was taking all the big worries of his day. And remember, his worries were about wars and plagues and running an entire empire. And he was just lifting himself up above them for a moment. And he would look at them from the perspective of his whole life, and from the perspective of the end of his life. And from that high up, peaceful place, he could see that most of the things he was worrying about just didn't matter that much. It's not a sad thought. It's a clearing thought. It's a simplifying thought. It's like tidying up a messy room. You look at all the clutter on the floor, and you just decide what is actually important and what is just junk. And this bedtime reminder was his way of sweeping away all the mental junk from the day, so he could see what was truly important: being kind, being brave, being patient. And then, with a clear and tidy mind, he could finally get some rest. Before we learn how to use this tool on our own worries, let's spend a little time getting to know the man who wrote these notes, the most powerful man in the world. Let's just take a moment to really think about what that means. The Emperor of Rome. The title sounds so grand, so far away, like something from a movie. We picture a man sitting on a golden throne, wearing a crown, eating grapes while people fan him with giant leaves. We imagine a life of total ease, where you can just snap your fingers and get anything you want. But for Marcus Aurelius, that was not his life at all. His job was not a party. It was a burden, and it was maybe the hardest, most stressful job that has ever existed in the history of the world. Let's try to imagine it. Imagine you have a job, and in this job, you are the CEO, not of a company, but of the entire known world. Every single problem, big or small, eventually lands on your desk. The buck stops with you always. There is no one you can ask for help who is higher up than you. You are it. Are the armies on the northern border running out of food? That's your problem to solve. Is there a flood in Egypt that's destroying all the crops? That's your problem, too. Are two politicians in the Senate having a petty argument and refusing to work together? You have to be the one to sort it out. You are the boss, the judge, the general, the parent, and the therapist for millions and millions of people. And you can never, ever clock out. The job is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, from the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep. There are no vacations. There are no sick days. And the world that Marcus Aurelius was in charge of was not a peaceful one. He spent a huge amount of his time as emperor not in a warm, marble palace in Rome, but in a cold, muddy tent on the front lines of a war. For years and years. He was not a natural soldier. He was a quiet, thoughtful man who loved reading books. And yet, his duty forced him to be a general. He had to lead armies. He had to make decisions that would cause thousands of people to live or die. Imagine the weight of that. Imagine trying to sleep at night, knowing that a decision you made that day would lead to a bloody battle in the morning. And if that wasn't enough, while he was away at war, a terrible plague, a sickness, swept across his empire. It was one of the worst in all of history. People were getting sick and dying everywhere. The economy was falling apart. The people were scared, and they were all looking to him, their emperor, to fix it. But he couldn't. It was a force of nature, and even the most powerful man in the world was powerless against it. Imagine the feeling of total helplessness. All the power in the world, and you still can't protect your people from a disease. And then, there was his own personal life. We think of an emperor as someone who is above all the normal human problems. But he wasn't. He was a husband and a father. And his life was filled with a quiet, heartbreaking sadness. He and his wife, Faustina, had at least 13 children together. 13. But in the ancient world, it was very common for children to get sick and not survive. And of his 13 children, it is thought that maybe only 4 or 5 of them lived to be adults. Imagine that. He was a father who had to bury at least 8 of his own children. All the power, all the armies, all the gold in the world, and he could not stop the thing that every parent fears the most. So this is the man we are talking about. Not a happy guy on a throne, but a tired, stressed out, grieving father, trying to hold the world together while it was falling apart from war and disease. A man who had every single reason to be angry, or to fall into despair, or to just give up. And yet, he didn't. He somehow found a way to get up every morning and be a good person, a calm person, a patient person. And the way he did it was by writing in that little book. The book we now call the Meditations. It wasn't a book he was writing for us. He would have been horrified to know that we are reading his private thoughts. It was just his own personal instruction manual, a series of exercises, reminders, and little notes to help him get through the day without losing his mind. He was not powerful because he was the emperor. He was powerful because, in the middle of all that chaos, he was trying to be the emperor of his own mind. And now that we know the incredible weight that was on his shoulders, we can finally begin to understand why his favorite tool, his most powerful medicine, was to think about something that seems so very dark. How could thinking about the end of it all possibly be a comfort? Let's find out. I can almost feel the question hanging in the air. It's a perfectly fair question. It's the question that everyone asks when they first hear about this. How? How, in any possible way, could thinking about the end of your life be a source of comfort? It seems like it should be the exact opposite. It seems like a recipe for anxiety, a direct flight to sadness. And if you feel that way, you are not alone. Our entire world, everything around us, is designed to help us forget about this one simple fact. We are taught from a very young age to not talk about it, to not think about it, to push it into a dark corner and pretend it isn't there. So the idea of willingly, on purpose, taking it out and looking at it, it feels wrong. It feels dangerous. But Marcus Aurelius and the Stoic philosophers who came before him had discovered a secret. They had found a way to flip the idea completely on its head. They realized that this one big, dark thought was not a source of fear. It was actually the ultimate cure for fear. It was not a source of sadness. It was the secret ingredient to a joyful life. And the way it works is actually very, very simple. It works by giving you the gift of perspective. It's like a magical pair of glasses that you can put on, and when you look through them, the whole world changes. Let's think about all the things that keep you awake at night. What are they? Most of the time, they are not giant, life or death problems. Most of the time, they are a swarm of small, buzzing worries. An email you forgot to send, a conversation that went badly, a mistake you made at work, worrying about what someone thinks of you, worrying about money, worrying about the future. Each one on its own is just a little bee, but together, they can feel like a giant, angry swarm buzzing around your head, making it impossible to find any peace or quiet. And in the middle of the night, in the dark, these little bees can look like giant monsters. A small mistake can feel like a career-ending disaster. A slightly awkward conversation can feel like a friendship-ending catastrophe. Our minds are very good at taking small problems and blowing them up until they are huge and terrifying. Now, here is where the Emperor's bedtime reminder comes in. The practice of memento mori is like a special kind of bug spray for the mind. It doesn't kill the bees. It just makes them quietly fly away. When you are lying there and your mind is buzzing with 100 small worries, you just gently introduce this one, single, big thought. You just whisper to yourself, remember, this will all end. And what happens? It's like a switch is flipped. Suddenly, you are looking at all your worries through those magical glasses. And from this new perspective, You can ask a very simple question about each one. That email you forgot to send, in the grand scheme of your one precious life, does it truly matter? That awkward conversation, when you are looking back on your life from the very end, will you even remember it? That person who has a bad opinion of you, will their opinion change the fact that your life is a temporary, beautiful gift? The answer, almost always, is a quiet, gentle, and incredibly liberating no. No, it just doesn't matter. This one big thought doesn't add a new worry to the pile. It does the opposite. It acts like a giant broom that just sweeps all the unimportant worries away. It cleans the room. It tidies the mind. It is a filter. You pour all your anxieties through it, and all the small, silly, insignificant ones just fall away like sand, leaving only the things that are truly important, the things that are solid gold. And what are those things? What is left after you've swept away all the junk? Your ability to be kind, right now, in this moment. Your ability to be grateful for the feeling of the warm blankets on your skin. Your ability to love the people in your life. Your ability to just be. This is the comfort. The comfort is freedom. Memento mori is not a dark thought that traps you in a cage of fear. It is the key that unlocks the cage. It frees you from the prison of your own small anxieties. It frees you from worrying about the future because you are reminded that the future is not promised to anyone. It frees you from being angry about the past because you are reminded that your time is too short to waste it on things you cannot change. All that matters is right here, right now. This one breath, this one moment of quiet, this one chance to be at peace. The thought of the end is not the end of happiness. It is the beginning of it, because it is the only thought powerful enough to silence all the noise and let you finally hear the beautiful, quiet music of the present moment. And now that we understand the why of this strange comfort, let's see how the emperor would have used it on a very specific, very common, and very annoying type of problem. The problem of other people. Now that we understand the theory, the strange comfort that this big idea can bring, let's see how it actually works in practice. Let's take it out of the emperor's dusty old book and bring it into our world. Right now, because this tool isn't just for big, existential worries. In fact, Marcus Aurelius would say it is most useful for the exact opposite, for the small, stupid, everyday annoyances that steal our peace, one tiny piece at a time. I want you to imagine something with me. Picture yourself at a grocery store. It's the end of a long day. You're tired. You just want to get home. You've grabbed the one or two things you needed, and you get in line to pay. And the person in front of you is being annoying. Maybe they're incredibly slow. They are fumbling for their wallet. They can't find their coupon. They are telling the cashier a long, boring story. Or maybe they have 100 items, and you just have your one little bottle of milk. Or maybe they are talking loudly on their phone, completely ignoring everyone around them. You know the feeling. We have all been there. And what happens inside of you in that moment? Let's be honest. A little storm starts to brew. A feeling of impatience. Your foot starts tapping. You might sigh, just a little bit, hoping they hear you. You might start having a whole conversation in your head. Can't this person hurry up? Are they serious? This is so rude. Don't they know other people are waiting? Your shoulders get a little tighter. Your jaw might clench just a tiny bit. Your peace is gone. It has been stolen by a stranger in a grocery store. And you start to feel that hot, prickly feeling of being annoyed. It's a small thing, but in that moment, it feels incredibly important. Okay, so you are standing there, in the middle of your own little private storm of frustration. Now, let's invite the emperor to join you in line. He would not tell you to just calm down. He would not tell you that you are a bad person for feeling this way. He would just gently suggest that you try putting on your magical glasses. He would just whisper the reminder, memento mori. And so you do it. Right there, standing in line, you just gently say to yourself, I am going to die one day. And in that split second, the whole scene changes. You're in your helicopter now, high above the grocery store. And from up here, you ask yourself the question, this 5-minute delay, This person who is moving too slowly. In the grand sweep of your one and only life, does this moment of inconvenience matter at all? Will you remember this on your last day? Will this delay change anything of any real importance in your life? The answer is so obvious, it's almost funny. No, of course not. It is nothing. It is a meaningless puff of smoke. A single, forgotten raindrop in a giant storm. The sheer absurdity of spending your precious, limited energy on being angry about this, it becomes crystal clear. You have a finite number of heartbeats left in your life. A finite number of breaths to breathe. Is this moment of petty frustration really how you want to spend a handful of them? Suddenly, the storm inside of you just stops. The wind dies down. The clouds part. The hot, prickly feeling is gone, and it is replaced by a feeling of calm, a feeling of lightness, a feeling of freedom. You have just taken back your own peace. You have refused to let a stranger steal it from you. And then, maybe you can take it one step further. You can look at this annoying person, not with anger, but with a different kind of perspective. You can remind yourself, that person is going to die one day too. And that thought changes everything. You have no idea what their life is like. You have no idea what burdens they are carrying. Maybe they are slow because they are in physical pain. Maybe they are telling a long story to the cashier because it's the only human connection they will have all day. Maybe they are distracted because they just got some terrible news. You don't know. You will never know. But the simple reminder of their mortality, of your shared mortality, connects you. For a moment, they are not an obstacle in your way. They are just another human being, like you, doing their best to get through their own short, precious, and probably difficult life. And with that one thought, the last little bit of your anger can just melt away, and it can be replaced by something incredibly soft. A little bit of patience, a little bit of empathy, a little bit of kindness. The situation has not changed. The person is still being slow, but you have completely changed. You have used this ancient, dark-sounding tool to perform a small act of magic on your own mind. You have protected your own peace, and you have done it without saying a single word. You have just remembered. This is the power of the Emperor's tool in action. It works on the small things, and it also works on the slightly bigger things, like the heavy backpack of tomorrow. We all do it. Every single one of us. We carry a backpack with us everywhere we go. But it's not a normal backpack. It's an invisible one. And it's not filled with books or clothes. It is filled with rocks. And each and every rock has a name. The name of each rock is what if. This is the heavy backpack of tomorrow. You know the feeling, don't you? Even when you are lying here, trying to rest, you can probably feel its weight on your shoulders. It's a tension, a tightness, a feeling that you can't quite relax, because there are so many things you need to be ready for. So many things that might go wrong. We spend our days walking around with our shoulders hunched forward just a little bit, under the strain of this invisible weight. And what's inside? What are these rocks that we choose to carry? Let's just open the backpack for a moment and look. There's a rock in there called, what if I make a mistake at work tomorrow? And next to it is a bigger one called, what if I lose my job? There's one called, what if I can't pay that bill next month? There's a whole collection of rocks for our health. What if I get sick? What if someone I love gets sick? There are rocks for our relationships. What if that person is still mad at me? What if I end up alone? The backpack is full of them. Dozens and dozens of heavy, sharp, uncomfortable rocks. Each one a worry about the future. Each one a fear of something that has not happened yet. And the strangest part is, we think that carrying this backpack is our job. We think that if we carry all these worries with us, we will somehow be more prepared. We think that by constantly thinking about all the things that could go wrong, we are being responsible. We are being smart. But Marcus Aurelius would look at us, with our backs aching and our shoulders hunched, and he would say something very simple. He would say that we are trying to carry a load that was never meant for us. He believed that we are crushed, not by the reality of our lives, but by our imagination. We are not crushed by the present moment. The present moment, he said, is always bearable. What crushes us is trying to carry the past and the future at the same time as the present. It's like you are trying to walk a path, but you are not just carrying the backpack of tomorrow. You are also dragging a giant, heavy sack behind you, filled with all the mistakes and regrets of the past. So you are being pulled backwards by yesterday and pushed forward by the weight of tomorrow, and you can barely even stand still in today. It's an impossible task. No wonder we are so tired. So what is the solution? What does the emperor suggest? He would tell you to stop, just for a moment, to stand still, and to gently put the heavy backpack of tomorrow down on the ground. And then, he would ask you to put on your magical glasses. He would ask you to remember, memento mori. And from this perspective, you look at that backpack full of rocks, and you ask a very simple, very powerful question. If my time is limited, if this one beautiful, precious life is all I have, does it make any sense to spend today, the only day I actually have, suffering under the weight of a tomorrow that might not even arrive? And the answer is a thunderous, obvious, liberating no. Worrying about the future is like paying interest on a debt you may never even owe. You are causing yourself real pain, right now, over things that are only imaginary. The future doesn't exist. It's a dream, a story we tell ourselves. The only thing that is real is this moment, this breath, and you are wasting it. You are missing it, because you are too busy carrying rocks that belong to a fantasy world. And when you truly feel this, not just as an idea, but as a deep truth in your bones, you can do something amazing. You can just leave the backpack there. You can just turn around and walk away from it. And you can feel the most incredible sensation, a feeling of lightness, a feeling of freedom. Your shoulders feel different. Your back feels different. You can finally stand up straight. You are not being crushed anymore. You are just walking. And today, this doesn't mean you don't plan for the future. You can still plant a seed for a tree that will grow tomorrow. But you don't have to carry the weight of the whole forest on your back. You do what you can today, and you let tomorrow take care of itself. The Emperor's bedtime reminder isn't just a tool for dealing with annoying people. It is the ultimate tool for letting go of anxiety. It is the one thought powerful enough to convince you to put down the heavy backpack of tomorrow. It takes away the bad, but it also does something else, something even more beautiful. It doesn't just clear away the worries. It also makes the good moments shine even brighter. And we'll talk about that next. In our last chapter, we did something that felt incredibly liberating. We stood beside the heavy backpack of tomorrow, the one filled with all those heavy rocks of worry, and we simply chose to walk away from it. We left it on the side of the road. And in doing so, we found a sense of lightness, of freedom from the imaginary burdens of the future. But this raises a new and very important question. Now that our minds are not completely filled with the buzzing swarm of anxiety, now that we have created this quiet, empty space inside of us, what do we fill it with? Marcus Aurelius would tell you that the answer is not to fill it with more thoughts, more plans, or more ideas. The answer is to fill it with life itself. He would tell you that the Emperor's reminder doesn't just take away the bad things. Its most powerful and beautiful trick is that it makes the good things, the simple things, feel infinitely more precious. Most of us, most of the time, are sleepwalking through our own lives. We are physically present, but our minds are somewhere else entirely. Have you ever eaten an entire meal while watching a screen, and when you look down, the plate is empty, and you can barely even remember the taste of the food? Have you ever driven your car along a familiar route, and you arrive at your destination with absolutely no memory of the journey itself? Your body was there, your hands were on the wheel, but your mind was lost in thought, replaying the past or worrying about the future. This is the normal state for most of us. We are ghosts in our own story. We are on autopilot. We treat the simple, beautiful moments of our lives as if they are just things to get through on our way to something more important. We drink our morning coffee while checking our emails, not tasting the coffee. We listen to music while we work, not really hearing the music. Our life is a beautiful movie that is playing right in front of us, but we are spending the whole time looking down at our phones. We are missing everything. And so, we come back to the Emperor's bedtime reminder. It is the most powerful tool ever invented for turning off the autopilot. It is a gentle but firm hand that reaches out and shakes you by the shoulder, not to scare you, but to wake you up. When you are standing in your kitchen, about to do something as simple as drinking a glass of water, you can practice this. As you reach for the glass, you can just gently introduce that one big thought, memento mori. Remember, this will all end. And that one thought acts like a command to your brain. And the command is this: pay attention. This is not a dress rehearsal. This is it. This one, simple, ordinary moment is your life. And it is happening right now. And suddenly, the act of drinking a glass of water is no longer a boring, mechanical task. It becomes an event. It becomes a miracle. Let's try it now, just in our minds. Imagine you are holding that cool, smooth glass in your hand, and you are looking at it through these new eyes, the eyes of someone who knows that this experience is a temporary gift. You can feel the weight of the glass, the solidness of it. You can see the way the light passes through the clear water. You can feel the coolness of it against your fingertips. You bring it to your lips, and you can feel that sensation, that simple touch of cool glass. And then you take a sip, and you don't just gulp it down. You actually pay attention to the feeling of it. The simple, clean, life-giving taste of water. You feel it on your tongue. You feel the coolness of it as it goes down your throat. You can feel it entering your body, a feeling of hydration, of life. This incredibly simple, perfect moment of drinking a glass of water, it is a gift that will not be offered forever. And in this moment, because of that one big, dark thought, you are finally, truly, 100% awake for it. You are not missing it. You are here. This is the secret beauty of the Emperor's reminder. It transforms the ordinary into the extraordinary. The thought of the end doesn't make life feel pointless. It makes life feel unbelievably precious. It makes every single, tiny, simple moment a cause for a quiet, secret celebration. The feeling of the sun on your skin on a warm afternoon becomes a miracle. The sound of a bird singing outside your window becomes a private concert. The taste of a fresh strawberry becomes the most amazing flavor you have ever experienced. All these little things that we normally ignore, that we sleepwalk right past, they suddenly light up. They begin to glow. Because the dark background of mortality allows us to finally see how bright they truly are. The Emperor's reminder is not about death. It is about waking up to your life, maybe for the very first time. And when you start to wake up to your life, you can finally start to make friends with the one thing you've been running from your whole life: the last day. There is a day, somewhere out there in the future, that is waiting for each and every one of us. We don't know when it is. We don't know what it will be like. But we know that it is there. It is our final day. And just the thought of it, just the name of it, can send a little shiver of fear through us. We treat this day like a monster hiding in the closet. We do everything we can to avoid thinking about it, to avoid even saying its name. We see it as the ultimate enemy, the great thief who will one day come and take everything away from us. Our whole life becomes a long, panicked race, trying to outrun this one single day that we know is chasing us. But what if we've got it all wrong? What if this last day isn't an enemy? What if it's not a monster? What if it could be a friend? Marcus Aurelius would tell us that our fear of this day is based on a huge misunderstanding. We are afraid of it because we think of it as a single, terrifying event, a finish line that we crash into, a door that slams shut. We imagine it will be a day filled with regret and sadness and a desperate wish for more time. And it certainly can be that. But it doesn't have to be. The Stoics believed that the only way to have a good death, a peaceful end, was to live a good life, a peaceful life. And the only way to do that was to stop treating the last day as a stranger you will one day be forced to meet, and to start treating it as a quiet companion who walks beside you every single day of your life. not in a scary way, not like a ghost haunting you, but like a wise, old teacher. Imagine this. Imagine that your last day is not a monster, but a person, a very calm, very quiet advisor. And this advisor walks with you, invisibly, through your entire life. And their only job is to gently tap you on the shoulder every now and then, and to ask you a very simple question. When you are about to do something, when you are about to say something, your advisor just leans in and whispers, "If this were your last day on Earth, is this how you would want to spend it?" Think about the power of that question. You are about to get into a stupid, pointless argument with someone you love over something silly, like whose turn it is to take out the trash. And just before you open your mouth to say something angry, your quiet advisor taps you on the shoulder and asks the question, "Is this how you want to spend this precious, unrepeatable moment of your life?" And in an instant, the anger just seems so foolish, so pointless. You would immediately just let it go. You would choose a hug instead of a fight. You would choose kindness instead of being right. Your advisor has just saved you from yourself. Or maybe you are thinking about trying something new, a dream you've always had, but you are too scared to do it. You are afraid of what people will think. You are afraid you might fail. And you are about to just put that dream back on the shelf for another year. And your advisor taps you on the shoulder. If this were your last day, would you be happy that you never even tried? And that one question might give you just enough courage to take that first, small, scary step. Your advisor has just helped you be brave. This is what it means to make friends with the last day. You don't fear it anymore. You use it. You let it be your guide. You let it be your filter for what is truly important. It becomes your secret superpower. It helps you to be more loving, more brave, more patient, and more present. It's not a thought that makes you give up on life. It is the thought that makes you live your life, your real life, with purpose and with joy. Because when you know that your time is not infinite, you stop wasting it on things that do not matter. You stop spending it on anger and fear and petty little arguments. And so, the last day is transformed. It stops being the terrifying finish line, and it becomes the gentle force that keeps you on the right path every single day. You don't have to wait until the very end to make peace with it. You can make peace with it right now. And when you do, you realize that you are not just a single, lonely person fighting against time. You are something much bigger and much more beautiful than that. You are just a small part of a very big, very old story. You are just a wave in the ocean. So we've made friends with our own last day. We've taken this big, scary thought and turned it into a quiet, wise advisor who helps us live a better life. And now, Marcus Aurelius would invite us to take one final step. A step that takes us from thinking about our own life to thinking about everything. It's a step that can feel a little bit strange at first, a little bit dizzying, but it is the final key to unlocking a profound and unshakable sense of peace. He would ask us to look at our own small, individual life and to see it for what it truly is, a single, tiny, beautiful wave in a vast and endless ocean. I want you to imagine you are standing on a beach. It's a clear, beautiful day, and you are just watching the water, and you see a wave. It begins far out, just a little ripple in the sea, and it starts to grow. It gathers energy, and it builds itself up, and it begins to travel towards the shore. It has a shape. It has a purpose. It has its own unique, individual existence for a little while. And it travels, and it crests, and it makes a beautiful, arching shape with the sunlight passing through the water. And then, it finally reaches the shore, and it breaks, and it crashes onto the sand in a beautiful spray of white foam. And then it's gone. It just slides back, and it becomes one with the ocean again. It is no longer a separate wave. It has returned to the place it came from. Now, was the wave's life a tragedy? Was it a failure because it ended? No, of course not. Its ending was not a failure. It was the whole point. The entire journey of the wave was just the ocean expressing itself in one particular way for one particular moment. The wave was never separate from the ocean, not really. Even when it had its own shape and its own name, it was always made of water. It was always a part of the whole. Its beginning and its end were just two moments in a much bigger dance. And Marcus Aurelius would tell us that you are a wave. I am a wave. Every person who has ever lived is a wave. The universe, the great ocean of existence, has briefly gathered itself up into the shape of you. It has given you a name and a body and a mind. And for a little while, you get to travel. You get to have your own unique journey. You get to crest and to feel the sunlight on your face. And then, one day, your journey will be over, and you will crash upon the shore, and you will return to the great ocean of everything. You will become one with the whole again. Your ending is not a tragedy. It is not something to be fought against. It is the most natural, most peaceful, most necessary part of the dance. You are just giving the energy back to the universe that it loaned to you for a little while. This thought can be so incredibly calming. Think about all the pressure we put on ourselves. The pressure to be important. The pressure to be remembered forever. The pressure to leave a giant mark on the world. We feel like we are a single, separate wave, and we have to be the biggest, most impressive wave that has ever existed. We are terrified of just being a normal, ordinary wave. But from this bigger perspective, all of that pressure just dissolves. The ocean doesn't care if you were a big wave or a small wave. The ocean doesn't judge its waves. It just loves them all because they are all a part of it. You don't have to be special. You don't have to be famous. Your only job was to be a wave, and you are doing it perfectly. When you can really feel this, a deep sense of belonging washes over you. You are not alone. You are not a separate, fragile thing, fighting for survival in a cold, uncaring universe. You are the universe. You are the ocean, just pretending to be a wave for a little while. You are a part of everything. The same stuff that makes the stars and the galaxies is the same stuff that is inside of you. You are connected to every person who has ever lived, and every person who will ever live. We are all just different expressions of the same one, big, beautiful thing. And when you feel that connection, the fear of your own ending can finally, truly, fade away. Because you realize that nothing is ever really lost. It just changes form. And with this deep, cosmic sense of peace, you can finally turn your attention from the end of the day to the beginning of a new one and to the secret of a grateful morning. For most of us, the morning does not begin with a feeling of peace. It begins with a sound, a sharp, annoying, unnatural sound from an alarm clock or a phone, designed to rip us out of the warm, soft world of sleep and throw us into the cold, hard world of our responsibilities. The first feeling is often not one of joy, but one of resistance. A groan. A feeling of, no, not yet. Just 5 more minutes. And what is the very first thing that many of us do before our feet have even touched the floor? We reach for our phones. And in that one single action, we invite the entire noisy, stressful world to come rushing into our minds before we've even had a chance to say hello to ourselves. We are immediately flooded with emails we have to answer, bad news from around the world, and pictures of other people's seemingly perfect lives. The heavy backpack of tomorrow, the one we so carefully set down last night, is immediately strapped back onto our shoulders before we've even had a sip of water. We start the day not from a place of peace, but from a place of deficit. We start the day already feeling like we are behind, like we are not enough, like the world is a big, scary list of things we have to do. We begin our day by starting a race we feel we are already losing. But the emperor, the man who had more reasons to feel stressed in the morning than any of us could possibly imagine, tried to teach himself a different way. We know from his own private writings that he also found it hard to get out of bed. He was not a superhuman. He was just like us. He would lie there in the warmth of his blankets and argue with himself, trying to convince himself to get up and face the day. But he had a secret tool he would use to win this argument. He would remind himself of a simple, profound truth. He wrote a note to himself that says it all. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. This was not just a nice, happy thought. This was the direct result of all his practice with memento mori. He had spent so much time making friends with his last day that he understood, in his bones, that every new day was an impossible, unexpected gift. This is the final, most beautiful transformation that happens when you practice remembering. The thought of the end is what makes the beginning so sacred. Without a real, honest understanding that your time is finite, waking up is just a boring, repetitive chore. It's just Tuesday. It's just another day to get through. But when you have walked with that quiet advisor, when you have seen your life as a single wave in the ocean, the feeling is completely different. When you open your eyes in the morning, you are not just starting another day. You have been given a miracle. You have been given a bonus round. You were not promised this day. Nobody is. And yet, here you are. You are breathing. Your heart is beating. The world, in all its messy, beautiful glory, has invited you to stick around for one more episode. And the only appropriate response to receiving such an incredible, unearned gift is a quiet, overwhelming feeling of gratitude. So let this be our final exercise. Let this be the secret you take with you into your sleep tonight, a secret you can use tomorrow. When you first wake up, before you move, before you think about your to-do list, and most importantly, before you reach for your phone, just lie there for just 5 seconds and practice the Emperor's secret. Feel the simple, amazing fact that you are breathing. Notice the air coming in and the air going out. Put a hand on your chest and feel the gentle, steady rhythm of your own heartbeat. A little drum inside of you, quietly playing the song of your life for one more day. Notice the light in the room, however faint it might be. Notice the sounds of the house or the world outside. And just for those 5 seconds, allow yourself to feel the truth. It is a precious privilege to be alive. That's it. That's the whole practice. You don't have to force yourself to be happy. You just have to notice, for a brief moment, that you have been given the gift of another chance. When you start your day like this, everything changes. You are not starting from a place of anxiety. You are starting from a place of fullness. You are starting with a win. It's like filling up your cup with gratitude before you've even gotten out of bed. And when your cup is already full, the little annoyances of the day, the annoying person at the store, the heavy backpack of worries, they don't have as much power over you. They can't drain you because you are already full. This tiny, 5-second practice of a grateful morning, which is only possible because we are not afraid to think about the end, is the key to a peaceful day. And a string of peaceful days is the secret to a peaceful life. And with that peaceful thought, we can finally say our own goodnight to the wise old man who taught us how to do it. It is time to say goodnight, Emperor. And so, we've come to the end of our talk for the night. We have walked with the most powerful man in the world, not through the grand marble halls of his palace, but through the quiet, private hallways of his own mind. We have learned his secret. We have borrowed his magical glasses and looked at our own lives through them. We started with an idea that sounded so dark, so heavy, so completely wrong for a peaceful night's sleep. And we have watched it, slowly, gently, transform. Like a piece of coal that under great pressure turns into a diamond. The dark thought of the end has become a bright, shining source of peace and freedom and gratitude. We learned that this one big thought has the power to silence the swarm of our small, buzzing anxieties. We saw how it could stand beside us in a grocery store line, protecting our peace from the small annoyances of the world. We felt it gently lift the heavy backpack of tomorrow from our shoulders, reminding us that we only have to live in this one, single, bearable moment. We learned that it is the secret ingredient that makes the ordinary miracles of our life. The taste of a glass of water, the feeling of the sun on our skin, shine with an almost unbearable beauty. We made friends with our own last day, turning it from a monster we must run from into a quiet, wise teacher who helps us stay on the path of kindness and courage. And we zoomed all the way out and saw ourselves for what we truly are, not a lonely, separate person, but a single, perfect wave in the great, beautiful ocean of everything, a part of a dance that is much bigger and much older and much more peaceful than any of our worries. And now, there is nothing left to do. There is nothing left to figure out. The Emperor has shared his wisdom. The day is done. All of your responsibilities, all of your worries, all of your plans, you can just set them down now. Just like we set down that heavy backpack. You can just leave them on the floor beside your bed. You don't need them right now. You can pick them up again in the morning if you even want to, and you will be able to handle them. You will be able to handle whatever tomorrow brings, because you will wake up with the secret of a grateful morning. You will wake up knowing that the day itself is a gift. But that is a thought for tomorrow. For now, the only task is to rest. The Emperor is resting now, too. After his long days of wars and plagues and politics and grief, this is what he longed for. The simple, quiet peace of the night. A moment to be free from the weight of the world. A moment to just be a man, not an emperor, letting go. And you can let go, too. You have done enough for today. You are enough. You can give yourself the great gift of release. You can feel your body sinking down, deeper and deeper, into the softness of your bed, letting go of the tension in your shoulders, letting go of the tightness in your jaw, letting go of all the thoughts that are still trying to swim around in your mind. You can just let them swim away. You don't need to follow them. The Emperor's bedtime reminder was never about the end. It was always about the now. It was always about this moment. This one, perfect, quiet moment of peace, right before you drift off to sleep. This is the prize. This is the gift. So let's just enjoy it. Feel the air as it comes in and as it goes out. Feel the gentle rhythm of your own heart. A quiet drum, beating a soft, sleepy lullaby just for you. You are a wave, returning to the ocean of sleep. And it is a safe and warm and peaceful place. There is nothing to fear. There is only rest. So we can say our final thanks and our final good night to the wise old emperor. Good night, Marcus. Thank you for the reminder. Thank you for the peace. And good night to you. May you rest well. May you find peace in the quiet darkness. And may you wake up in the morning, ready to receive the beautiful, precious gift of a brand new day. Sleep well.